Apple just revealed the iPhone 15 Pro, the Apple Watch Ultra 2, and way more. Here's everything you need to know that happened at the Wonderlust event today. Let's talk about the all-new iPhone 15 first. Firstly, all of the iPhone 15 lineup this year will have the dynamic island. That is something that was exclusive to the Pro models last year. And screen brightness was upgraded across the board as well, with a maximum of 2000 nits for peak brightness outdoors. This is actually twice as bright as the iPhone 14. And it's official, they will now all have USB-C ports. So long to the Lightning port. Now the transfer speeds on these USB-C ports will vary a little bit depending on whether you go with the standard or Pro models, but we'll talk about that more in a moment. The sizing of the iPhone 15 models will be the same this year too, meaning the standard size iPhones will be 6.1 inches and the bigger sizes at 6.7 inches. Now, although the camera specs will be pretty different between the standard and Pro models, there is a new Photos feature that you'll have access to on both devices, and that is next generation portraits. And what that means is that whenever you're using the camera and the phone detects that the subject of your photo is either a person, a dog, or a cat, it will actually automatically capture all of the focus and depth control information that it needs to take a portrait photo. And that's whether or not you had it in portrait mode. So if you're quickly taking a picture and you forget to set it to portrait mode, you can actually now do it afterwards once the photo's already taken. You can also change the focus to an entirely different area on photos that you've already taken as well. Basically, these new camera features on the iPhone 15 will mean that you have less to think about when you're trying to take a picture and you can just live more in the moment. During the event, Apple did also unveil a whole new service that they're offering called Roadside Assistance via satellite. This has basically the same function as Emergency SOS, which allows iPhones to communicate via satellite if they're in an area where there's no reception. It does allow you to reach out to AAA from anywhere, regardless of whether or not you have a signal. Outside of those new features, the other big thing that's happening with these new phones is they will be shipping with iOS 17. Now let's go into some more in-depth information about the iPhone 15 standard model. Firstly, the iPhone 15 will have 5 different color options this year, which are pink, yellow, green, blue, and black. They'll still have the same ceramic shield front glass, which Apple says is the strongest front glass on any smartphone, and the back glass will be different because this year it's going to be color infused. That just means that all of the glass on the back of the phone, including the glass around your camera lenses, will be color matching. These new devices will also have a new processor, which is the A16 Bionic chip. As always, this allows for speed and performance improvements like we get every year on the iPhone. The other new chip that you're going to have in this phone is the 2nd generation ultra wideband chip. And this new chip is what allows for some new features like precision tracking your friends in Find My. So if you're in a crowded space and trying to find your friend and they shared their location, you can track to their iPhone in the same way that you would track an AirTag. Now, as far as the camera goes, we did see some pretty big improvements on the standard model this year. The standard 15 comes equipped with a 48 megapixel camera. This is basically the same camera that the 14 Pro had last year. And the 15 will also have a new optical zoom option this year, which is 2x. Now, like I said before, the 15 does have a USB-C port this year, but keep in mind that the transfer speed of this new port is actually going to be the same as the Lightning port was previously. Because it supports USB-C 2, it only allows for 480 megabits per second on the transfer speed. So even though it's a new port type, you're not really going to see any improvements as far as transfer speed goes on the standard model. The capacity on the 15 will also be the same as it was last year, which ranges from 128 to 512 gigabytes. And lastly, for pricing, luckily there was no change from what we saw last year, meaning that the iPhone 15 starts at $799 and the iPhone 15 Plus starts at $899. Now let's take a look at the all-new iPhone 15 Pro models. The biggest change that you'll probably notice up front is the switch to a grade 5 titanium frame instead of a stainless steel frame. Titanium, and I quote, is the most premium product that Apple has ever used. And titanium is great because not only is it more lightweight than stainless steel, but it actually is 3 to 4 times stronger as well. It's supposed to be very strong, durable, and light. And that's actually the reason why the Pro models this year are going to have a reduction in weight from the Pro models last year. They're actually lighter because of the titanium frame. That being said, there are 4 all-new colors on the Pro models this year, and all of them are going to complement the titanium frame very nicely. So what we have is black titanium, white titanium, blue titanium, and natural titanium. Let me know what you think about these new colors in the comments. For me, I personally really like them. I usually tend to go for the more colorful options like the blue on my iPhone 12 that I'm recording this on. But this year, for whatever reason, I really like the natural titanium, so that'll probably be what I go with if I do end up getting this phone. Now, outside of the frame being different, the other big addition to the Pro models this year is the addition of the action button. This is going to be replacing the silent toggle, which has actually been around since the very first iPhone. It's going to be in the same spot as the silent toggle was, and the initial function will be the exact same, meaning that if you press and hold on this button, it will toggle the phone to either be in ring or silent mode. Otherwise, a quick press of the button can trigger all sorts of different things, and it's completely up to you what you want it to do. The examples that they used during the showcase were pressing this button to trigger voice memos, launch the camera, access accessibility features, or to trigger shortcuts. And this is really exciting because in my opinion, it's always nice to have something that's customizable on your phone. That way you can really cater it to your specific needs and wants. I actually do plan on making a video soon going into the Shortcuts app just to show how powerful and capable it really is. So make sure you subscribe to my channel if you don't want to miss out on that. Now let's talk about the specs of the camera on the Pro models. Apple says that this is their very best camera yet, and even though there are 3 lenses like last year, they're saying that it's equivalent of up to 7 lenses because of all the features that they have. Just like the standard 15, it also has a 48 megapixel camera, but the sensor on the 15 Pro is supposed to be larger than on the iPhone 15. It's supposed to have greater dynamic range, the latest in advanced HDR, and Apple's most advanced stabilization system ever. The new stabilizer actually stabilizes the camera in all directions, which apparently is the first time this has ever been done on a smartphone. And it allows for up to 10,000 micro adjustments per second to stabilize, which is actually twice the amount as the iPhone 14 Pro was capable of. Now for the zoom range, it will depend on which Pro model you select. If you choose the regular iPhone 15 Pro, the zoom range will be the same as last year, which ranges from 0.5 to 3x. But if you go for the 15 Pro Max, you actually have a new optical zoom option, which is 5x. This gives you a way to zoom in even further than we've ever been able to before. And lastly, a brand new option available on both Pro models this year will be the ability to record spatial video. And this was made to be used hand in hand with Apple's Vision Pro so that you can rewatch and relive your memories basically in a way that we've never been able to before. The USB-C ports on the Pro models will be better as well than they will be on the standard 15 because the Pro models are going to support USB 3. That means that you're going to get up to 10 gigabytes per second on the transfer speed from these devices, which is 20 times faster than any of the previous models which still have USB 2. With this port, you are also going to be able to shoot and instantly transfer Pro RAW files directly to a Mac, or you can record 40K 60 frames per second ProRes directly onto an external hard drive from an iPhone as well. This is an amazing new feature, and I think it's going to open a lot of doors for professionals to start using iPhones at the professional photo or video shoots. Apple did also seem to have a pretty big focus on gaming with the Pro models this year too. So this new lineup is going to be able to handle better graphics and upscaling with ease, meaning that gaming will be better than ever on iPhone 15 Pro. This will also be the first iPhone to have ray tracing, which is pretty crazy to think about. To think that this is on iPhone now opens up the door to a whole new world of games that have never been available on iPhones previously. And they've actually already got things like that in the works. So soon enough, you're going to be able to play games like Death Stranding, Resident Evil Village, and even the upcoming game Assassin's Creed Mirage, all on iPhone 15 Pro. Crazy. And the features that I just went over are all going to be possible because of their new A17 Pro chip. This is supposed to be the biggest upgrade they've ever done on an iPhone to date with the processor. Now the pricing on the Pro models will be a little bit different this year. The iPhone 15 Pro starts at $999. This is the same that it was at last year. But the iPhone 15 Pro Max starts at $1199. So although that does look like an increase from what we saw last year, the caveat here is that you want to keep in mind that the Pro Max now has a default storage of 256 gigabytes, not 128. So this price is actually the same as it was last year for that storage size. So if you're interested in this new iPhone, pre-orders are going to start this Friday, September 15th, and the phone will be fully available and released next Friday, September 22nd. Now let's talk Apple Watch. The biggest feature by far that we're going to see coming to the Apple Watch this year is a new gesture that's called Double Tap. This gives you the ability to control your Apple Watch using the hand of the wrist that your watch is actually on. And you do so by just tapping your index and thumb together twice. And the way that this new gesture works is pretty crazy too. The sensors on the Apple Watch are actually able to detect the minute and very unique changes in blood flow that happen when you put your thumb and index finger together. So by detecting those changes in blood flow, it'll know that you're doing the gesture and then control whatever the primary button is on the app that you're using. I really like the sound of this new feature and I'm very excited to try it out because it sounds very unique and very futuristic. Now there was a very sizable portion of this showcase during the Apple Watch segment that was dedicated to Apple's environmental practices. Now I won't go into all the details on this because there's a lot to it, but what they announced is that this new lineup of Apple Watches is going to be Apple's first carbon neutral product ever. They're using all sorts of recycled components and metals within their watches and iPhones. They're eliminating the use of leather entirely out of their accessories lineup, and they're getting rid of plastic from all of their packaging by the end of next year. All that you have to do when you're ordering this watch is just make sure that you use one of their carbon neutral bands. Not all of them are carbon neutral, but it's easy to tell which ones are because they have a new carbon neutral logo that they're putting on it. Now, the standard model of the Apple Watch this year is going to be the Apple Watch Series 9, and it's also going to come in 5 different colors: pink, starlight, silver, midnight, and product red. And Apple will also release some colored cases for the watches as well, including gold, silver, and graphite. Their Series 9 will also have the latest processor, which is the S9 SIP, and this new processor is supposed to have a 30% faster GPU and a neural core that is 2 times faster. Just like iPhone, the display brightness on this Apple Watch has been upgraded as well, so it also is going to have the same max of 2000 nits at its brightest. But to be honest, these are pretty much the standard upgrades that we see every year on the Apple Watch. Let's go into some things that are brand new with this Series 9. Firstly, Siri is now going to be processed on device instead of in the cloud. Now this is big news because it means that the processing time for Siri should go up because there isn't any risk of delays or lag due to a bad signal or bad Wi-Fi reception. That means that Siri can complete tasks for you even if you're in an area where you have no reception at all. That also means that you're going to be able to use Siri to access health data too. So you can ask it simple questions about your health, about how you slept, or how your run is going. Now, questions like this weren't possible before due to Apple's privacy policies because they did not want to transfer any of your health data to the cloud and just due to privacy concerns. The Series 9 will also have the updated ultra-wideband chip too, meaning that you can now ping your iPhone or use precise tracking on your Apple Watch to find your phone. Now, as you can tell, the Series 9 really isn't getting that big of an upgrade this year. These are usually things that we pretty much see standard every year. It might be worth it though if you like those few new features, and especially because Watch OS 10 will be shipping with the Series 9. So that's something to look forward to as well. As far as pricing goes, the Series 9 is going to start at $399. Now, in more exciting news, Apple did also announce the Apple Watch Ultra 2 today. This actually is going to share a lot of the same features that we just talked about coming to the Series 9 watch. So again, it's also going to have the S9 SIP processor and that new double tap gesture. However, the display on the Ultra 2 is actually the brightest display that Apple has ever made, with a maximum of 3000 nits. That means you shouldn't have any issues in seeing the watch even in the brightest of days. Outside of that, the Ultra 2 will also be shipping with a new watch face as well. This new watch face pretty much gives you an in-depth look at all of the very analytical and precise measurements that your watch is capable of taking, all at the same time. And the pricing for the Ultra 2 watch is going to be the same, starting at $799. The Ultra 2 is also a carbon neutral product, just like the Series 9, so as long as you choose the right band to go with it, this is going to be a carbon neutral purchase if you'd like it to be. Now for pre-ordering on the Apple Watch, it actually starts today. You can go to apple.com and order it right now if you'd like to. The release date is going to be the same as the iPhones, which is again next Friday, September 22nd. And those are the major announcements for the iPhone and Apple Watch. There are a few other miscellaneous things they announced today too that I didn't want you to miss, so let's go into those. The AirPods Pro will have an updated case coming out that has a USB-C port instead of Lightning. And just like we talked about before, since Apple is removing all of the leather from their accessories lineup, they're putting something new in place of it. And this is their new textile, which they've called fine woven. This is a material that's made from 68% post-consumer recycled material, and it has a significantly lower carbon footprint when you compare it to leather. And it's made of micro twill, which according to Apple has a very soft and suede-like texture. The new fine woven material will be available on basically anything that you saw leather for previously. So things like iPhone cases, watch straps, or AirTag holders. The only other notable announcement, although relatively minor, is that they are upgrading their iCloud subscriptions. There will now be two new options when it comes to upgrading your iCloud storage. We'll now have a 6TB and 12TB storage option. And that is everything that you need to know about Apple's Wonderlust event that happened this morning. This video was a lot of work to put together and I hope you found it useful. I wanted to get it up the same day just so you had a very easy recap to follow so you're up to date and not missing out on any information. If you enjoyed this video or if you learned something new, please make sure to leave me a like. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you want to stay up to date on Apple information or just tech in general, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you here in the community. Plus, if you enjoyed this video, I really think you'll enjoy this one too. Thank you for watching.